Get that womb in.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Talking Stick Show. So this week I'm joined by two special guests. First of all, I will introduce Carly Shereen. Hello Carly.
Hello, love.
How are you doing today, my darling?
Oh, I'm feeling in a love flame today.
Thank you.
It's burning nicely.
Good. And thank you for joining the space. We're coming into such a powerful time at the moment. We've just had a full moon and we are coming into the Lion's Gate on the 8th of August as well. So as well, I'm joined by the outstanding Lindsay Banks. Hello, Lindsay.
Hi, Dale. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well today, thank you.
Good.
Less scattered than yesterday.
I love it how we introduce and ask how we are again when we've already asked it. I love that. We're taught, every time I do it, it's like, yeah, I've already asked you this, but how are you doing?
But that adds comedy and it's brilliant. It raises the energy already.
So first of all, Carly, if you just like to tell a little bit about yourself and what you do, my darling.
Yeah, I kind of don't have words for what I'm doing. I just flow wherever I'm guided. The main thing that is my work at the moment is holding space, always holding space for whatever is needed in each person met, whether we meet on the street or in a healing circle, which I'm very honoured and humbled to be a part of.
Beautiful. And you're in Cyprus at the moment, so how's that going over there?
It's a heat wave.
We need some of that, don't we, Lindsay?
Yeah.
I've got my slippers socks on today.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think you can have my heat. I don't wear deodorant, and I'm really surprised my husband still finds me attractive.
Deodorant's a hard one to find, especially natural deodorant. I found one.
Well, I just use essential oils.
Yeah.
I just use essential oils.
So thank you, Carly. So Lindsay, let's speak a bit about you and what you do for all of those who've not listened to you before or met you before.
Okay, so my name's Lindsay Banks, and a bit like Carly, it's really difficult to put into words everything that I do. So I do a lot and I'm busy. So I'm just in the process of getting my second book published. So I'm self-publishing that. So I've just sent the cover away to be done, which is called Awaken Your Soul.
Wow.
I run online courses. I have a YouTube channel myself, which is just Lindsay Banks 111. And yeah, what I enjoy most at the minute is really tapping into people's past lives and seeing, who they were and why it's relevant in this lifetime. I think that's what I enjoy most at the minute, and seeing as well, the transformation in people from when you first meet them to sort of like who they become. Do you know what I mean? And being able to share, that your dreams are possible. I think.
Yeah. I completely see that as well, and I also wanted to add, because I think it'd be nice for people to know who each other is through our eyes. Like you, for me, Lindsay, as someone who is ferociously in your power. You are someone who walks in your truth and helps people feel comfortable in their own. Your guidance in this whole time has been priceless, to say the least. My own mother loves your first book, and your cards, like your lovely daily cards, are something that she can work with every day, because she's only beginning this awakening, just like your mum, Dale.
Yeah.
Only just opening. Yeah, get ready.
Get ready for the bombs to go off at the beginning. Bomb.
The eyes are open. So yeah, Lindsay's a very important person in helping us all, in providing space for us to be empowered. And I would say I'm in a line with you that way. So I'm grateful to have you as that for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Carly.
So for this week's show, we're going to talk about experiences and how important experiences are for us in this present moment. So we all share this commonality of having some experiences where they change our life for the better, for the worst, or in between. So what I'd like to do is, starting with Lindsay, if you can just share a few experiences which have changed you and what's brought you to the person you are in this present moment.
I always feel like my childhood and all the way through my 20s felt very comfortable. I was very sociable, you know. I always like to do things that people didn't do, so I used to like going against the norm. So when I'd finished my A levels, rather than going straight to university, I told my parents that I was going to fly to Mexico and teach English, and they were like, "No, you're not doing that." But I went, and that really sort of, for me, opened my eyes to the fact that there was this much bigger world than Newcastle, you know, where I was born and where I was brought up. And I was so lucky, the people that I met, just, you know, listening to different people's beliefs and different opinions, different upbringings, I think that really made me feel more grateful for everything that I'd sort of had, and, you know, my childhood. And then, like I said, it felt very comfortable. I lost my best friend to cancer back in 2016, which for me really sort of shook me up quite a bit, because I realised that up until that point I was sort of emotionally numb, and I wasn't allowing myself to experience these highs or these lows. I couldn't remember when I'd last cried or when I'd last really laughed. So that really sort of like broke me open, if you like. And I didn't realise at the time, but that sort of triggered my dark night of the soul. Going through divorce, so that's another experience in itself, you know, in terms of teaching me about relationships and about love and about karma. And I think they're probably the biggest things that I've been through. And I think, especially going through everything right now, I think they've made me realise that I have such strength within, and I have this resilience that no matter what life sort of throws at me, I have these tools to be able to deal with them and to be able to come through it the other side. And that's sort of like what I'm doing now, is sharing these tools with others to help them when the shit hits the fan, basically.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of, yourself has become empowered from your own experiences, and you've chosen to lead a different life, go in a different direction. So was there any spiritual experiences you can remember going through, any visitations or anything spiritually wise, where you saw something, heard something to guide you in the present moment of the now?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things which has stuck with me for years was so back in, oh god, when was it? It's been about 2008, 2009. I had 2 car crashes within the space of 3 months. So there was 2 different ways that I could get to work. The first way was single carriage, and my car skidded on the ice, and the lady behind me smacked into me. So I ended up causing a massive tailback because it was a single carriageway road. So I thought, right, in order to avoid crashing again, I'm going to go another way. Went the other way, overtaken a van, and the van pushed me into a tree. And I was like, oh. So a couple of weeks later, I'd gone on honeymoon, and I was there in this beautiful place. I was in the Maldives, but all I kept thinking about in my mind was, oh my god, the weather's really bad. When I get home, what if my car skids? What if I have another accident? And there was all these what ifs going through my mind. And I was having this massage done, I was face down, and literally there was this voice, like you said, and it just said, fear not the unknown. And I was like, who said that? But it was so powerful, and it became sort of like my mantra. So I was like, right, I can't predict what's going to happen, do you know what I mean? So anytime when I started thinking, oh well, what if, and thinking about the potential possibility of something happening, I just kept telling myself, right, fear not the unknown. I don't know that it's going to happen. It's a story I've made in my mind. So that sort of really helped me through the years. If I've ever started going down that path and thinking, oh, well, what if? I just tell myself, right, fear not the unknown. And that's sort of become a bit of a mantra, which has really helped.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So that feels like there's a lot, like we talked, I was on your show yesterday, and we talked about expectation and how that limits us, and that kind of hand in hand with your experience, that if you're always expecting every time you wake up or every time you're awake, so on and so forth, you're going to limit yourself and you're going to limit your experience. A lot of people expect for the good things to happen, the bad things to happen, or they're expecting fear, and fear will come at them. And what you put out there, the universe will push back at you. So whatever you look at looks straight back at you. So a lot of people have this expectation, have this fear that something's going to happen, and all they're doing is throwing this out to the universe, and the universe is there to balance, so it throws it straight back onto them. So that's.
But sometimes I quite enjoy that shadow time as well, though.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like if you wake up and think, oh, this is an awful day, like that actually isn't a bad thing for me. Like to sit and be in a sadness or a digression from where you want to be, or like even walking down the street and concentrating on your negative thoughts. Like I actually feel like giving them space, but not power, helps you move through them. So like this morning I had to walk barefoot to make sure I stayed grounded. And as I was conversing with myself on the way to nursery, you know, I made the decision of how I was going to feel and how I was going to think and what I was single person around me, whether like I knew what I wanted them to feel, but I also knew what I wanted to take from those feelings, especially in these uncertain times that we're moving in now. So yeah, I felt, it felt freeing to allow my thoughts in all their forms.
And there you go. So that's you, the gauge, isn't there? There's like a gauge on you where it's not like it's like kind of like a battle where you're in between your ego, you're in between the expectation, but you're in between the I am presence, the who you are as a soul, what you want, and you kind of have to really filter out what's the difference between your ego, what's the difference between your shadow, and what is your I am self. And this spiritual work we are doing is for us to be able to feel ourselves more, to be here and to feel. A lot of people can't feel anymore. That's something I suffered with, a feeling how I was feeling at the moment, and not just trying to control, because I was stuck in that process of trying to control my reality too much. I do believe there's a level of control you have to have at some point on your life walk, but separating yourself from the ego and the I am, how can you separate yourself and understand who you are, Carly, from, for those who are not understanding who they truly are? They're always, if they're angry, or their ego comes out. How can you separate and understand who are you and who's your ego, so on and so forth?
Yeah, for me that comes with what I'd like to talk with you about with regards to say I've only found myself properly through my children, because they literally mirror the hell out of you, and anything they're doing is coming from you. And I think they're just also a great gift, just such a great gift, you know. And listening to what people say about themselves around you, because I find that like even talking with you three now, it's been so nice to step back and listen. Like doing this together as a three could go one of two ways, because I'm really talkative and get really excited, and especially with Dale, he can't stop me from, we tangent off and blah blah blah. But it's really nice to choose to home in on what you're saying, Lindsay, and what you're saying, Dale. And so with regards to finding out the separations between myself, I observe the people around me. Like for example, if if they're feeling really happy, or if they're feeling really confused, or if they're feeling at peace, or if they're feeling angry, especially with like my partner and my children, if I look at them, I can see what I'm projecting easier, and then choose to raise the vibration or step into the reality I'm being offered.
Beautiful. And there was a comment which a lady said to me. I had a session with her a few weeks ago, and at the end, which I forgot about, which I looked into years and years ago, but I forgot about what she was talking about, is it's a beautiful way of thinking that what you heal in yourself is what you heal in your children. So whatever you resolve, your children be resolved for you as well. So say if you're going through a past life regression with Lindsay, you've got that resolve where what you fix inside yourself, your children will benefit. So it's great that you've talked about children, Carly. So what's some of the positives and experience for you having children as well, going into it on a spiritual sense? How has it gained you to have strength?
Oh, it's really connected me to my divine feminine. It's quite as simple as that. When they were born, I was born each time as well. And I think we spoke last time about me finding my witch DNA, whatever you want to call that, my magic, through a very random experience of actually having a phantom birth. I don't know why I'm laughing, because it's very serious. It's actually very true. And, you know, even your menstrual cycle, it literally feels like you're giving birth. And perhaps there's a lot more to be said in that you can take that time of holy bleeding and holy menstruation and that period of actually allowing your womb to rebirth you. And there's a woman I follow on Facebook. What's her name? It'll come back to me. And she's like really into and called by the Magdalines and the womb healing. And she shared a video which literally showed what happened to me at Christmas when I literally gave birth. Yeah, I'm about to ask you the question if that makes sense, but I don't need to, because you all are on the same frequency.
When you spoke about that, so there's an author called Jamie Sams, who's a Native American elder. So she was talking about the Native American traditions, and they do one process called the sun dance. So basically, this was one of the first Native Americans when it started the traditions. They used to do something called a sun dance, where, because the women used to suffer and they had to go through that pain of suffering through birth, the men had to then learn about suffering as well. So what they used to do, it's a crazy, crazy thing. They used to actually go to a tree, get string, tie it into your skin, make a hole, and connect probably about 30 pieces of string to a tree. And they used to have to stay there for 3 days dancing with a drum, with all the skin pierced. And it was for them to honor the ladies and honor all of that, what they go through, the pain they go through, because motherhood is such a beautiful aspect, and it's such a beautiful experience, even though I've experienced it in past lives and I'm not experiencing in this lifetime. And it's funny because 2 weeks ago I had a dream where I was pregnant. It was so funny. I was there and I was literally pregnant, and I was holding the baby, and I was like, what? I'm a man, I'm pregnant. I woke up and I was like, what is going on?
Oh, that's lovely, Dale.
So Lindsay, so for your being a mother, what was it like for you then? What experience wise, how has it been for you?
Just going to that dream, Dale, before I talk about it. For me, the collective readings, the cards I've been getting up the last 2 weeks have been about transformation and rebirth. So it's interesting that as a man you're having dreams about rebirth as well. So I think before I had children, I was very much sort of like in my masculine energy, where I'm like, right, this is what I need to do. And, you know, I was working really long hours, and I was really disconnected from my body, as well as like my emotional body, my spiritual, just disconnected from everything really. I was on sort of like, I don't know, like a treadmill. And I think once I had my children, it was very much about more connecting with myself, learning more about who I was, about it takes you on this complete sort of like other journey about just connecting with yourself. And like Carly said as well, that you can see in your children, you know, for me it's like my childhood wounds are coming out through them, do you know what I mean? And connecting with inner child and just healing matriarchal wounds and ancestral lines, and it just takes you on this other sort of journey, because you're learning. And I think the biggest lesson that they've taught me is patience. I think this is my biggest lesson in life anyway. But definitely sort of patience, and compassion and empathy.
But don't you think that's a feminine thing? Like, I always find men have more patience than women. Like, quite literally, like, I don't know if it was you I was speaking to when I was really, you know, feeling really vulnerable, because where are the men? You know,
I love that post that you shared, Carly.
But honestly, I meant it with love. And when I asked that question, and when I realized, like, Dale, you guys need us. Like, the men need us, because I really, honestly, and it really helped me and my husband go full circle when I stepped away from my feminine wounds and realized, oh, we've forgotten them. like I feel really emotional. Like, we have forgotten you guys. Like, we've been so busy berating you for the pain that has been caused to women that we've forgotten you were in pain at our pain. You were in, like, imagine the men when they couldn't call for their women, when they couldn't stand up for their women, when their rights were so against the grain. They had no freedom of speech to, you know, the women who were enslaved as their whole families were enslaved, you know, Black history, the Jewish times, the times of the Jews, the times of the witch trials. Do you think those women didn't have men who loved them and who could do nothing for them and who were powerless when their nature is to protect and love and guide the feminine rage, the feminine passion, the feminine impatience? You know, you guys have held space for us for so long now as we have risen. I am so ferociously passionate now about holding space for you.
Beautiful. And
it's interesting. Sorry, I was just going to say, I went to a festival last year. It was called, what was it called? The Charlotte Institute Festival, and it was all about sex, which was fascinating.
Well, Lindsay, who are you? We know you more.
but there was
one side, I'm just popping it on the shirt. No,
there was a comment that someone said, and it really made me think about it. And it was, you know, I've always thought about how the patriarchal system is like really like screwed up women, but one of the speakers was talking about how the patriarchal system had also like screwed up men as well. And I was like, oh my, like it hadn't even like registered in my mind, do you know what I mean, until then. And I was like, oh my God, yes. I was like, it's not just women who've been screwed over by the patriarchal system, it's been men as well. So, so thank you for raising that, Carly.
And that's
not all about us.
And that's some of the so that's ancestral karma, what a lot of Carly's talking about and you're talking about, where the ancestors have passed on their unhealed parts and their debt. And we as the people of the now need to understand how to resolve it, how to heal ourselves, heal our trauma. And like you were saying with the children, sometimes we operate in our programs from our parents, and it's not the actual self saying stuff. It's just a program which you created when you were a little child from hearing your parents' voice. And it's about us being aware that the ancestors pass on, as well as the good stuff, they pass on the karma to us. And us in this now can have the moment where we resolve the patriarch concept, we resolve all of this, the negative sides of war, and we choose to be free. There's a revocation which I recommend for my clients to do. It's where you declare your form of being sacred and kind of disconnecting from the world and choosing what you want in your reality. Because a lot of people have given
my favourite of yours. Is that the one I love of yours?
Yeah, there's a gentleman called Andrew Bartis who does quite a few, and there's a few other people. And the one I sent you was a divine feminine one.
Yeah.
And so it talks about the patriarch concept and totally different things, like for the female, how they've, like, all the children being trafficked as sex slaves, stuff like that, which is ingrained into our DNA because it's been happening. But we as a people have to heal ourselves. We can't change the world. We can change the world if we heal ourselves. That's what I'm trying to say. So the great work you do now, for you to pass on your stuff to the children, your legacy as an ancestor, your responsibility, our responsibility, Lindsay's, Carly's, is to heal ourselves. And we pass on not so much karma to the future generation. We can pave this world for them with our own truth, our own space, and our own awareness.
So I have a question. See, I feel like karma is evolving into downloads now. Like, I feel like what we view as karma is actually like knowledge left behind for us to download and reclaim and remember. And, you know, like that whole, you wake up from an intense dream and then it's gone. Like, where did it go? Why did they take it, whoever they are? And bringing that into the painful and honest and true subject of child sex slavery. Like, so many people turn from this, but it's the biggest crime and the biggest karma and the biggest reality that we need to wake up from. And as we'll all know, when you look into it and you're purging your own emotions towards it, and I know that you both, like myself, have educated yourself in these atrocities and the realities, and there are times when it breaks you and times when you're powerful enough to take it for them, and I honestly feel that that is us releasing the karma and releasing. Do you feel like that? Like, so we all have to face it so that it can be freed. Is that how you feel?
Like we're transmuting it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like you said, when we're feeling strong enough to be able to tune in and to listen and to accept, like you said, the atrocities that have happened, it's like we absorb it, but then we're transmuting it out. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But we're quite programmed not to concentrate on the negative.
Mm.
So my battle with this has been, okay, that's enough, don't go too far, it's changing your reality. But I think it needed to change your reality. Do you feel like that?
Yeah.
And then you get comfortable, and then last night I came across something horrendous. Like, we all remember when we found horse meat in our food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then add that to the worst thing in the world. Yeah. So then you've got to deal with that layer of disgraceful humanity. Yeah. And then when you think you've found the most destructive, soul destroying news and nothing else could break you, and then all of a sudden you're ready to be disclosed further. How far does this go?
And that's
go on. Yeah.
No, you go, Lindsay.
I was just going to say, and I think as well that, you know, there is that tendency to ignore what we don't want to know, and there's also sort of that tendency where when we start looking into these videos and finding out more about the children and what's been going on with the paedophile rings and everything else, it brings stuff up for people as well. And if they don't have the tools to be able to go back to, you know, childhood and face everything that's been going on, I can imagine how much more difficult that is. Do you know what I mean? For them to be able to face. And it was a conversation I had with a friend of mine yesterday, and I said, you know, I said there are some people who will not be able to face what has been going on because of things that have happened to them, and because if they don't have the tools to be able to process it, to be able to transmute it, it's just going to trigger and bring up those memories, and then they're going to be stuck in their head because they don't know where to get advice, where to get guidance, where to get healing, or what to do with it. So it's really tricky because you want to share and you want to make sure that people know what's going on, but at the same time there's this responsibility, I feel, to just drip feeding and not bombarding people with everything that's going on. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
I'm with you as well, and I do feel like we have a responsibility. Like, if we know and we are safe in ourselves and we have each other, which there are so many of us, like even just sharing one thing creates ripples. Like, some of the things I've shared and that have made me feel uncomfortable in my soul have created messages from people which I know you will have both received, saying, I cannot believe this is real, but I'm ready. And it's just, we have to take this together.
Yeah. And
we have to take this together.
Carly talked about, because we were thinking of things to do with the show, and one of them was truth. And for me, is that at some point, like the great dream, the fifth world of peace dream, is where everyone on the earth gets truth, and everyone on the earth gets the Akashic record read to them in neutral perspective, not in light, not in dark, because sometimes people can change a narrative. So all of this, what's going on at the moment, is recorded in the Akashic record. So it's all being recorded, and when we do go through the transition of the great fifth world of peace, where everyone makes a peace, everyone will be able to access what happened, and all the dark, the light, the shit, because there's so much shit going on the planet. This is why it's important to do the inner work, so you don't let the shit affect you and change your life, but you can be there in your own frequency, not giving it power, but just learning from it and changing from it and helping others change from it. And through that change, we can change it. But it gets to the point where the activists sometimes, majority of them, it doesn't work because of the government's got such a hold on us. Even from the fact that the government is protecting the traffic industry on the higher levels. A lot of people don't know that the actual government pay people to protect, because millions and millions of kids go missing each year, and the government are behind it. The higher levels, it's disgusting. And it's about being discerning towards it, understanding it, but not letting it change you and break you.
Yeah.
It's really strange because I was just going to say, a few years ago, I remember seeing something. I was like, where can all these children go? And I remember thinking, you know, there can't be that many murderers out there. There can't be that many people who want to just take a child. And I'm like, why? And I just remember wondering where they'd all gone. But then everything that's been coming out, you know, like obviously about Pizzagate and everything else, and I'm like, it makes sense now. Do you know what I mean?
Especially the food reference.
Yeah.
Like that is the most disgusting, disturbing disclosure.
Yeah. And who's the gentleman who died in prison? What was his name? Jeffrey Epstein. All of that is being unfolded. My own personal opinion of, I don't think the arrests are going to come this year. I think give it 4 or 5 years, 3 years, then we're going to see arrests. I think now it's the soup's kind of stirring and they're throwing more meat into the soup to make it juicier. And I think it'll get to the point where we have to say enough's enough. But I feel like we're at the start of that. And I feel there's so much potential. What about you, Lindsay, with the potential of because you do collective readings, what's the potentiality of things?
11 a.m.
Okay, so I feel my feeling is that we are being drip fed information, because if it all came out at once, then again it would be too much and it would blow too many people's minds. I keep saying I feel like we're living in Star Wars at the minute. That's
we are.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like
we are.
Orion people who are listening.
Yeah.
Orion.
And it's like, I feel like we have been prepared through movies, you know, through Hollywood.
Songs.
What?
Through songs, like what you said the other day.
Yeah, songs, yeah, through songs, you know, people have been trying to get these messages out to us for years.
Yeah, and I do think they're light people. But I think light, shadow, and we've got a joke. Oh, we're rattling. I do think the light is winning. It's hard sometimes to hold on to that truth. I do feel it. And can I ask you both, did you always know you were going to be a part of something special? Isn't that amazing?
I had no idea.
No, I don't, but yeah,
we've got a crackle.
Oh, bless you. Gremlins in your phone.
So yeah, it's been.
Yeah, sorry, love.
So everything kind of needs to have. So everything. So the media, TV have to control the narrative, don't they? That's their way of kind of everything. Even some of the topics which come up, which should be on the news, aren't on the news. Of crazy shit going on, like Iceland. Is it Iceland or Greenland? Iceland, who actually kicked out the bankers. They actually came together. I think it's Iceland, and no one knew about this. Well, people know about it, but the news didn't tell me. But if you look up Iceland on Google, they kicked out their bankers and they arrested them all. And now they actually own, all the community owns all like the country and what goes in and out, so on and so forth. So they've actually kicked the fuckers out. And so that didn't get shown on the news. How big of a deal is that?
Got a bad
that you can kick your government out if you all come together and actually go, there's so many of us and we don't want this shit anymore. We don't want our children fed GMO. We don't want our children going through trauma, which they shouldn't be going through. And it's this inner work so important, what you, Carly, what you, Lindsay, do, what I do, because we help people feel their light, feel their power, so they can be free and they can make a change for themselves.
Exactly. And when I think when you're doing that healing work and when you have that knowing that something isn't right, that's when you can begin to speak up, do you know what I mean? And either start having conversations with friends and going, oh my God, have you seen this? What do you think? Do you know what I mean? But I think, yeah, just having that knowing and being able to stand in your power and just standing there and going, this is not okay. This is not okay for me. This is not okay for my children. Yeah. And being confident. And I think it's only when you can be that confident to stand up and not do what you're being told to do, which I've never been able to be told what to do.
Me neither. Me neither.
But it's standing me in good stead now.
I think that's a good thing, though.
It is, Carly. It is. People can ask me to do things, you know, but you can't say to me, right, Lindsay, you know, you need to do that, because I'll be like, well, why? Do you know what I mean? Is it what I'm meant to do? How do I feel about that? You know, and I think it's about being that independent as men.
Like, you do, especially when someone like me, I have my initiative. Like, there's nothing worse than, oh my God, my poor husband. Honestly, it's such a gem. There's nothing worse than being told to do something. Like, it's just not nice. It's like taking away your power.
Exactly.
And all the power of
we don't need to be told.
No.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Clearly it is. Don't call me out. My phone's been crazy. I do apologise. I missed the whole Iceland thing, but hopefully it hasn't affected your recording.
No,
am I blippering for you guys?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay, good. Yeah. The truth thing is something I very much value in you again, Lindsay, because there is nothing wrong with speaking your truth if it is wrong. Like, it's how you feel. And thank you, Daniel. Oh, hello. Am I still there?
Yeah, but your face is frozen.
It's frozen a little bit. So while Carly sorts,
okay.
There we go. So speaking of the truth, yesterday I had a fire. I went out and did a fire ceremony, and what's one of my ways of I do ceremony is speaking to the fire and telling my truth. And from what's happened in the last 2 months, I spoke about, because like everyone, we all go through our lessons, we all go through our experience, and I shared my truth with the fire. I told the fire my story of what I was feeling, the ups and downs and everything like that. And just from speaking my truth, I felt so at peace. It was like, you know, when you speak to a friend or anything like that, when you want to get something off your chest, you just need to get it out. And for so many people, they hold it in, and they've got all this trauma which is held in, and the trauma can even go into a cancer, it can go into some disease, or it can make you just a stale, bitter, very angry person until the day you die. So, so any experiences what you've had, which you'd like to share about how important being truthful is, Lindsay?
Yeah, so when I was married, it's funny because I would go around to these mind, body and soul festivals, and everyone would say your throat chakra's blocked. You've got issues with your throat chakra. And then my husband started like using it against me, going, well, you can't say anything because your throat chakra is blocked. And I was like, and I think it was only sort of like really working on that and learning to say no, to set boundaries, that can really help you to clear your throat chakra. Because if you're going along and doing something with someone but you don't really want to do it, then, or if you don't feel like doing it, you need to be able to say. And even like on a day-to-day basis, you know, even if you make arrangements with a friend and you're actually not feeling great, or you think, you know what, I don't want to go, then just being able to say, look, you know, I love you, but today I'm not feeling it, can we postpone, can really help you to learn to speak your truth. And when you start doing it with your friends and your family, it's like Carly was saying, it starts to cause this ripple effect where, when you're speaking it again, it empowers you, and you're like, this is who I am, and this is what I feel I need to say in this moment. I'm speaking with love, and I'm speaking from my heart. And if you don't like it, or if you're going to react, that's because you've got your stuff going on. And you're going to sort of send that back to me. But I need to say what I need to say.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. And my truth has always been about honoring and embracing my rage. Like actually my rage, like my whole life, like I was like my little boy Gabriel, who has rage. He has very powerful rage, and it's beautiful when harnessed. But my mum was a single parent, so she needed to tame that rage. So my whole life has been about suppressing it and keeping it calm, and you know, all those things. And then I ended up walking into male environments where they didn't appreciate it if you have rage. You know, it's nicer to, it's not very pretty to have rage. It's not attractive to be angry, you know, all those things. And then I touched on this last time. I met Danny, who wanted my rage, who wanted my anger. And so now when I have something to say and it feels a rage in me, I don't like suppress it. I say it while it's hot. I say it while I mean it. And, you know, when people say you can't take back words, it's like, no, that's okay, because you can explain them once you've been allowed to release them. You know, you can, and it really shocks people, because sometimes I really miss the peaceful priestess that I was. But now I just have so much ferocious rage at times, as well as peace, and they are in harmony with each other. And if I don't honor one, I just can't honor any of it.
I think that's a massive thing, Carly. I'm very much the same. So I had a soul plan done, and anger is like part of it. And the more that I've sort of like worked with it and embraced it, like I can have a massive tantrum and I can scream, do you know what I mean? And it really helps me to just let it all out if I'm feeling that way. But on the flip side, that anger can really turn where I'm like, right, this is what I need to do about this. And it becomes this passion, which sort of like overflows into like everything and anything that I do. So there is, like you said, it's sort of knowing that you can express it, do you know what I mean? And you need to be able to let it out.
There's no fear in it. There's no fear in it. And when we combine that with, you know, especially for me, when I combine that with Danny's calm, and you know, and Danny's like earth, and Danny's, you know, air as well, because he's not just grounded, it can really become something powerful if we harness it together.
Beautiful. And there's all those past lives, and that was one of the things for me, was my past lives. That we're talking about anger and rage, so many of it's connected to our past life, and going into the ancestral karma, it all ties together. In past life, I've been a warrior, I've been a leader, I've been a knight, and I had this Knights Templar lifetime, which was really causing me, I wouldn't say it was causing me harm, but it was really holding me back. And I had to go back to that moment where I was a knight and I was just battling and battling and battling, and I had to go back in a neutral way and see myself as a knight and actually let go of that knight. And it's so funny, because all of these feelings are so strong, and we have to accept who we are, we have to be truthful. And there's a really cool story, it's a Native American story about a scorpion, where a scorpion and turtle are stranded on an island, and there's a big volcano that's about to erupt, and the tide's going to get rid of the island. So the scorpion asks the turtle, can I get on your back while you swim over to safety? And the turtle goes, no, because you're going to sting me. And he goes, no, I won't. So the scorpion gets on the turtle's back and they start swimming to the other island. Halfway, the scorpion stings him and the turtle dies and the scorpion dies. And while he's about to die, he goes, why'd you do that? And he goes, because I'm a scorpion. That's what scorpions do. And it's a big lesson about you are who you bloody are, and you are who you are. Not trying to be this other person. We need to accept our leopard spots, like the leopard totem as well.
There's been nothing greater than watching people become their truth by me becoming mine. Like even here, like I find myself speaking to people and shocked that they connect with what I'm saying, because it's not abnormal anymore. People are connecting to their truths, and they're letting go of their ignorance of thinking that we're the best of creation, when there's so much more to us than what we are displaying. Can I ask you guys a question about Mother Earth, which has came to me lately? I feel like she is in spirit, and that she has been put to sleep. and that her energy is not moving at the highest force because she's not in consciousness, she's in spirit. Does that make sense? Like, I don't feel like I feel like she needs us to wake up in order for her to be fully awake.
Yeah.
Do you connect with that?
That's funny you say that, because at the moment they're not, the astrologists aren't talking about it. The planet's spirit is still here, but it's in a form of retrograde where it's like a timeout. The guy was talking about it, that because of the astrology we're taught limited astrology because there's more planets out there than there is, and all the planets are moving and changing. And he was, it's a guy who can read the Akashic record, and he was talking about, at the moment now, the Earth's in retrograde till September. So the Earth is in like this healing state, timeout state, which is funny. We're feeling that. And going back to the karma as well, there's so many changes which are happening in this universe with karma, and in the future it potentially may not exist when we do the great inner work. So it's beautiful that you say that, Carly, because he was talking about the Earth's in retrograde till September. So this period for our own spiritual growth is just about being, not doing. When September comes, we've got a place where we can do loads of stuff, but now we just have to be, and we have to be present here with the planet.
Yeah, I'm being guided for people to speak with her, you know, like you would somebody in a coma.
Yeah.
Like actually talking to her and telling her how you are, telling her what's going on with you, as you would your mother, as your mother would want to hear, and just really nurturing her with your stories.
Yeah, Mother Gaia. So going back to experiences, Carly, so let's share a few more truthful experiences. What's changed you as a person, or if you want to share a spiritual experience, just to give everyone a bit of taste of our stories.
I'm going to have to leave this beautiful triangle in a minute, but I'd love to share that. Some very phenomenal experiences of spirit for me is connecting with my guides on a deeper level than just knowing, and actually allowing them to channel through me. Like, it's something I never thought I could fully connect with in this lifetime. I didn't see it. First of all, I didn't feel it necessary, and second of all, I wasn't sure if I could move to that. And then something happened. Well, especially with you, Dale. I've spoke of our ceremony at Stonehenge that day when you connected me to one of my main guides, and I love that I literally can all of a sudden want to chant. One of my ladies is West Indies Caribbean, and it's really interesting when she comes out and not even thinking. Like, it was funny, I had a small circle the other week and they'd never experienced anything like it before, but it feels natural now, and I don't feel like I need to hide it. And like, one of them's always laughing and giggling, and I can see myself shifting and moving with different people. And well, you know, because you're like, oh, who am I working with today, or who am I channeling today? And you know, like, the interdimensional beings blew my mind. Just my most recent spiritual experience was, I've never really connected with the lions, right? This is before I knew about the Lion's Gate, by the way, so it blew my mind. I've always been into the wolf, you know, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, to my left of my bedroom, there were 3 lions which came into my bedroom, and 3 lines on the shirt. There wasn't. And they wore a blue uniform. Well, I had no idea about any of this, and I posted it in one of our spiritual groups. And Kellyanne Head is a lioness, as you know, and then they introduced me to the Galactic Alliance, which is a blue uniform, and the Lyrans. And then another lady was like, and we're about to go into the Lion's Gate. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, well, I can't deny that then.
So coming into the Lion's Gate, so how have you been feeling, Lindsay, from the full moon yesterday? How's things been for you
Well, yeah. So I had a conversation with a friend, and again, my throat chakra, I was just mentioning about the possibility of moving, and I just got this massive lump in my throat. And I just started crying down the phone to her. And then I was so scattered yesterday. I was literally starting to wash the dishes. I'd do half of them. Then I'd come over to my laptop and do something. Then I was somewhere else. And I was like, I just can't be anywhere in particular. I was just like, I just can't focus. And then last night I lay out under the stars for about half an hour and just sort of like just allowed myself to just be and tune in. Today feels more focused. I'm up and I'm on one. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot more in terms of like I'm seeing a lot of white flashing lights. So like last night when I was doing my Gentle Hug for the Soul program, there was loads of white lights flashing around, and just before we started the call there was like just some whiteness, and I don't know what it is, but I'm just like, all right, there's stuff there, do you know what I mean? And yeah, I think it's going to be interesting on Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I get this sense of excitement.
Yeah.
I meant to say to you before, sorry Dale, I'm going, you can have her all to yourself. When you're getting the messages from Joan of Arc, I feel like she is you. Like I feel like she's like, she is you. Like her soul feels like yours to me. And it makes me want to cry when I say it. So
yeah, feeling female.
And so before we go, we'll all wrap the show up. So
you sure?
Yeah, it's fine, Dan. Fine. We can do this so many other times, and I'd really appreciate if we do this again in 3 months, because it's phenomenal having the Seven Sister energy into the space. It's great. So going
and for you now, Dale.
So in going to the Lion's Gate for myself, I had a ceremony this evening, and for all of those listening who are suffering at the moment, who are feeling down, a bit confused, it's to get out there and do the self-nurturing work. I went out had a fire, got my rattles, and I just rattled and danced on my own in a field, and I almost started crying because I felt freedom, and I was like out of my body, because sometimes we do need to go and dance, we do need to express ourselves, because we need to get, it's like we are sexuality beings as well. We need to go out and have these true spiritual sacred experiences to let go. I'm like, when I was rattling and laughing and almost crying, I was just like, I'm free. And so many restrictions from me from being a parent of this 3D responsibility, money responsibility, paying bills, shit. It's so nice to do the nurturing work and get out, have a ceremony, go dance, go have sex in a sacred way, not a perverted way. But yeah, it's just about
into the Lion's Gate,
into the Lion's Gate, and laugh and cry and just be silly. And if you make a mistake, you're a human. We're a scorpion. We sting. That's just what we do.
Oh, dear. With you always.
And you too. So thank you so much, Carly, and thank you, Lindsay. And I appreciate everyone who has subscribed and watched the show. And we'll be back next week. I've got James Gopala on Sunday, so I look forward to sharing the space with you. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Carly.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Carly.
Thank you.
Goodbye, my love.
See you later. Bye-bye. Have a great evening.
Bye, love.
Afternoon, sorry.